Hi, Matt with etrailer. If you have a 2023 Toyota Highlander and you're trying to get through those more lightly snowy areas, but you need something in case of emergencies, or your state requires you to have some sort of traction device on hand, then the Glacier Chain Tire Chains are going to be a great option for you. So let's check them out. It's important to note that we do have this on tire size 235, 65, R18. Now this will fit a variety of other tire sizes. That's just the size we have today. And we're going to have this on the front axle as what the manual recommends. Now if you're not sure if this is going to fit your vehicle, you can actually plug in your vehicle's information into our fit guide to find the right one for you. We're going to have these low carbon steel chains, and they're going to be a roller link style. So that's going to mean a couple things for us. And it's mainly going to give us more of a smooth ride. So because we have this material that is softer, so you won't feel those bumps as much, and these links are going to roll, so that's going to help this be a bit of a more convenient ride for you. Now the downside to this though is it's going to be it's not going to give you as much traction because we don't have any hard edges to it. So that's why it's more for those emergency case or light duty areas. And it's also going to be Class S chains. And what you get out of Class S chains is they're going to be really close to your tire and give you plenty of room to sit underneath your suspension. Another spot to really think about is going to be the side over here. We do get pretty close to right here. If you had a larger chain, there is a chance of that making contact. But if you keep everything nice and tight, you should be fine. And these are also going to have a ladder pattern to them. That ladder pattern is going to give you a little more traction when you're stopping and starting. So these chains are going to come in a set of 2 in this pretty light duty bag. I'm honestly not a big fan of these. Well, they will hold up to the chains because the light duty chains, light duty bag should be fine. The main issue is going to be trying to get your chains back in here, especially when you use them on those snowy, icy conditions. That's going to be really hard to get nice and tight back in this bag. So what I recommend instead is investing in a small tote to keep your chains in. Now, I also recommend investing in a rubber tensioner, especially for these chains. A lot of chains out there will have some sort of assistance with getting these tight enough, but this doesn't have any sort of device like that. We just put these metal blocks through those channels and then it holds it down. The issue with that though is when you're driving down the road, things usually shift a little bit, and once they shift, they loosen up. What this is going to do is, once you get it on your chains, it's going to apply tension, so even when it does loosen up, it won't fall off your tires and make contact with anything. Now, in my opinion, I think this is going to be a pretty okay option if you're just trying to stay legal in your state. Now, if you want something that is going to be really easy to store, work with, and give you the same amount or even more traction, then I'd recommend the Titan Chain Snow Socks. Because what I like about those are they're super easy to install, and you don't have to get underneath your vehicle. And storing them back in there, you just have to fold them up a few times and put them underneath your seats. You don't have to deal with a bag like this or rolling up these really springy chains. The downside is they're a little bit more unforgiving if you go into any areas that have pavement. So if you're in some snowy areas with a few patchy points of pavement showing through, it could damage them a little bit. With these, if you do hit a few patches of pavement, they might get maybe slightly damaged, but they should hold up. So that's just something to think about when you are choosing traction options. Now, if you are curious to see what this installation looks like, just stay tuned. We'll walk you through it. To start off the installation, I like to grab some gloves, just make this a bit easier. And I also like to lay out my chains. Now, if you are doing this for the first time, I recommend staying home, trying this out, because you don't want to try to figure this out on the side of the road in the middle of a blizzard. But what we're looking for is a few things. So we want to make sure there's no damages to our links, and it's in the right orientation. So what we're mainly looking for is to make sure that this hook is facing up. So right now we're good. And then we can start putting this on. And to do that, what we really have to do is kind of get this centered up, lift up from here, and drape it over. Once you have it draped over, you want to make sure it's even on both ends. So you don't want something that's going to look like this making contact with your rim. I want to make sure it's even on both ends. I'm going to put my hand back here to get a better feel. Once I've done that, I'm just going to do that all the way throughout. And then I'm going to kind of adjust the ends of the chains just so it's a little bit easier to make our connections. And speaking of those connections, if we reach back here, we can make the first one. And I'm going to be honest with you, this is going to be a pretty tight fit because we don't have a whole lot of clearance underneath here. So this might take you a few attempts, especially if you are a larger person. But what our objective right now is just get these metal blocks through this other side that has this channel on it. And this also might take a couple attempts just because we want to try to make sure both sides are somewhat even, just so these chains sit pretty well on this tire because it can affect the fitment if you have one side too tight. Now we're going to do the same thing on the front side too. You're going to be taking those metal blocks and pushing them through this channel. And the fit we have today is pretty tight, but we should be able to get it on there. There we go. After when you have it on, just come back through, give it a good tug test. And we still have a decent amount of slack in these. I could try to get this a bit tighter, but yeah, that's probably going to be the most I can get with just my hands. So something that's going to help us a lot is going to be a rubber tensioner. And the way I like to put it on is in a star pattern. And once you get this on, you also want to make sure you keep these hooks facing away from your tire. You just don't want them to puncture or damage anything. Afterwards, I like to look it over, see if I can make any adjustments. I could probably put this hook right here, and that's already looking a little bit better. After when you have this done, you can repeat this process on the other side. After which you can either back up or pull forward some, check your chains again, make sure nothing shifted too much. If they look good, you can take it out for a ride. But that's just a look at the Glacier Chain Tire Chains on our 2023 Toyota Highlander. I'm Matt. Thanks for watching.